Forrest Outdoors here. I want to talk to you today about a winter project that I've been working on for the last 2 months. It's been replacing a jackplate as well as drying out a transom. The boat that I've been working on is a 1998 202 Champion that was paired with a 8-inch right height jackplate along with a 225 EFI Mercury. There's 3 reasons why I decided to go through this project. One is I purchased the boat about 2 years ago and don't know when the last time the seals were replaced. So I pulled everything off of it, dried everything out, resealed everything for really comfort to make sure that I know it was done and done correctly. Secondly, to make sure to check everything on the transom. Boats do have issues with leaky transom with water getting in, so I just wanted to make sure that I checked everything the boat and I was comfortable with where everything is. Lastly was to replace the present jackplate that was on it. It was a 8-inch right height manual jackplate. There has been a lot of comments, concerns, and blogs about these types of jackplates. Not all of them are bad, but however, over time they do kind of not perform as they used to. So what I decided to do was replace it with another 8-inch rapid jack from Hydrodynamics. It was exactly what I needed. It gives me a sense of mobility from ease of lifting and lowering on the jackplate. And lastly, the cost price was incredible. Those guys at Hydrodynamic, they know their stuff. They're very good, and they put out a tremendously good product. So the video I'm going to show you now is my experience that occurred over the last 2 months. Real quickly, some of the things that I did learn was making sure that you have the right tools, making sure that you have the right equipment needed to do so. I kind of go through this in a high level, but everything in the video is items that you need in order to do it yourself. The other piece was learning how to properly draw out the transom, working from the center and then working to the outside, making sure that those heat lamps aren't any closer than 12 inches. These small things that you learn in these do-it-yourself projects, I think, can be tremendously helpful for someone that's really looking to try this on their own or do it with a friend, or really trying to start taking care of these boating items on themselves. So take a look at the video. If you guys have any questions or comments, please leave it on the YouTube page, on my Facebook page, or feel free to visit my website at forrestoutdoors.com. Once again, we're working on a 202 Champion with a 225 Mercury motor on it. The motor itself weighs about 500 pounds, so when doing this, just make sure you have a couple guys to help you with the movement of the motor. Once the motor's been removed, make sure you properly support the cherry picker to make sure that it doesn't drop anymore and you don't hurt the lower unit of the motor. Moving the motor off the transom and jackplate itself is very easy. As you can see here, all that's left is the transom and the jackplate. Taking off the bolts, lining everything up is very easy to remove. Once the bolts and nuts are out, all you got to do is just a couple twists, a little pulling on the jackplate, and it will come out very easy. Once the jackplate's off, well, we're looking at any type of damage that we'd be looking for: cracks in the fiberglass, gel coat, water in the transom. Taking that flashlight, looking in there. Everything from my perspective and my team's perspective looked very good. Very happy with how everything was done prior, and how the boat has held up over time. The challenge after doing all this is make sure that everything's clean. When drying out the transom, you want to make sure that you've got a clean surface to work on. So making sure you remove all the silicone, all the debris, anything that could have been there when that previous jackplate was installed. This is a picture of what everything looks like with the jackplate removed, and now we're getting into the heat lamps. With this process, make sure that you have the heat lamps stuck on the transom for at least a 2-week period. You can go longer if you like. I went about 3 weeks, and that's just based on my timing. Also, with those lights, make sure that you have them at minimum 12-inch distance, at maximum 18. That's just the recommended approach. You get it too close, you're going to heat up the transom, you're going to have burn marks, and you don't want to do that. Waiting that 2-week period was very challenging for me, so I decided to take on a side project during that time, and that was to replace the rope trim around the boat. It's something that I didn't like cosmetically. It's a matter of preference. I didn't like the way it looked. It didn't matter like how it feels, so I just decided to replace it with a vinyl tubing. Once again, heating that jack plate, the transom, make sure you work from the center, go to the outside. And here's the trim piece. We kind of damaged it when we removed it. Had it custom made from a manufacturer here in town. But when installing this new piece of trim on the top plate, make sure you have the silicone underneath and it oops out the side, either side, to make sure you got a proper seal around that transom. Did a couple other customizations around the support plate that goes on the top. That's just a matter of preference. Now we're getting into installing the new jack plate. Right here we've kind of measured it out, lined it up, put the bolts in just as a template to see if everything fits. Once it fits, now we're taking silicone, putting circles of silicone just around the holes of the jack plate, as well as doing a zigzag pattern. That's to make sure we get a proper seal once we put it up against the transom. Bolts are in, push it into place, and just get those nuts tightened hand tight. You want to make sure everything lines up before you start pushing this thing out. The other reason why you wait a little bit is you give it 5 minutes, 10 minutes to make sure that silicone gets a sense of tackiness. It gets stickier, really helps with sealing that jack plate to the transom. Now we're getting the torque wrench out and really tightening everything up on the outsides as well as the insides of the jack plate. When torquing down on the nut, make sure you're doing exactly that. You're torquing that wrench or using that torque wrench on the nuts. You do not want to move the bolt. If you move the bolt, you're putting the transom at risk of cracking that or losing that seal that you just placed on not only the transom but also the jack plate. Here is the final product of what we did with installing a jack plate. Very happy with how it looks, very easy to install. We gave it about a 2-day period for it to dry out and seal up properly before we put additional weight on it. Forgot to start the video when we put the motor back on, but it's very easy to do, very easy to take off, it's very easy to put back on. Just like I mentioned before in the beginning, make sure you got proper help when putting it back on. All we're doing here is, once again, taking out the torque wrench, making sure that we've got the proper weight on that wrench to make sure that we're hitting what's recommended for that motor, for that jack plate. On this one, the jack plate was recommended to the transom a 45-pound weight. On the motor, those bolts were recommended the same as well. Just going through that due diligence and finalizing everything right now. The only thing left to check once this is all done is just to check your prop height. We can do a video later on that shows you how to check prop height, but it's very easy to do. What we're doing here is installing the hose trim. Very easy, just very cosmetic. It's something that I wanted to do, and you'll see something here shortly. But you've got everything disconnected, so you might as well put whatever hosing is back on or what you want. This is the final product that we've put together. Motor's back on, hosing's in place, and the lower units at the design height that I want. As for the most part, this is very easy to do. I'm very happy with the outcome of how it's turned out. And I really look forward to getting out of the water in 2015 and putting this thing to the test. So if you have any questions, comments, or ideas, please feel free to add a comment at the YouTube page or visit my website that is listed here at the top, which is forrestoutdoors.com. Thank you very much. See you out in the water.